All right, hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back. Happy Thursday to you. Hope you've had a great week. It's nice to be back with you tonight as we are gearing up for another great class of Final Fantasy XVI. For those of you that are new watching on YouTube or wherever you may be watching, what's up? My name is ProfNoctis, or Wade in real life, and I teach Final Fantasy and religion and humanities and all kinds of stuff. And tonight we're going to be digging into the aftermath of primogenesis, as it is called. As I was thinking about class tonight, as I was thinking about what exactly we could talk about tonight, I was thinking about different themes, and the theme that kept coming back to me over and over and over again was that this chapter is about the resilience of the human spirit. And so that's what I've called this, the resilience of the human spirit. We're going to do probably 3 main story quests, and I think they'll take a good deal of time. So we're going to try to get through that. For those of you that have played before, we're going to try to get through the city of Canver. And as we go along, we're going to be paying particularly special attention to the aftermath of the fall of the world, and we're going to be looking at the effects of primogenesis, which is what Ultima cast at the end of the last stream. Hey, what's up, Leon? What's up, some dude? I see both of you in the chat. Great to see you tonight. Hope you're doing well. How's it going tonight? Y'all good? Y'all, I don't know what it is, but it is that time in the semester when it is just busy, busy, busy. In fact, today, man, it was a long day of work today, so you probably haven't seen me much on Twitter today. I try to schedule out my tweets before I go to work throughout the day so that I can like still be engaged while at work. But I was so busy and crazy that I just did not get to hop on Twitter or anything like that. So if you've gotten silent treatment from me, sorry about it. I've just been slammed. You know, life is. They call it work for a reason. It ain't play, that's for sure. So happy Thursday/Friday morning for you. Having bacon and eggs for breakfast? I had bacon and eggs for breakfast this morning. Hey, here's a pro tip, a professional Noctis cooking stream. I should do that sometime. But one thing that I like to do is I like to take a golden potato and I like to dice it or just like slice it into like nice little slivers of potato. Throw it in a skillet with some olive oil and just kind of let it go for a minute. Not just a minute, like a little longer, until it's like browned. And then what I like to do is I like to crack some eggs on top of the potatoes. And what it does is it creates this nice skillet egg potato mash sort of thing. It's great. Awesome source of protein and carbs in the morning. Then I usually toss in a little bit of bacon on the side just to give it a little bit of a bacon flavor, bacon grease flavor. It's good stuff. Good stuff, everybody. So, if you get nothing else tonight, try that. The reason I like it is because it's super easy, right? It's just like super duper easy. Like, it doesn't take up a lot of dishes. Like, I can just like slice it in my hand and then toss it in there. Not Boy Scout certified or approved, but it works. Some dude, Ultimelius, takes a lot of attempts. Yeah, I bet he does. Beat all the bosses no hit. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. You're much better at this game than I am, clearly. Leon, that sounds really delicious. It is really delicious. So, yep. All right, well, why don't we go ahead and hop in? Like I said, tonight our focus is the resilience of the human spirit. Where we last left off, Ultima is endeavoring to break the human spirit, to break the human will and the bonds that Clive has made, right? And so he Ultima wants to break down Clive's resiliency. So today we're going to be looking at not only Clive's resilience, but we're going to be looking at people within the Hideaway and Martha's Rest, places all around Valisthea. So as we do that, we're going to talk less about the gods tonight and more about humanity. All right? So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and hop into it? Don't dice in your hand. Health and safety is priority. That is true. I don't want to brag about how good I am with it, but because I'm afraid that karma will come and get me. But I haven't cut myself yet, so. All right, here we go. There will be some non-gaming cooking streams. That'd be fun. Ignis cosplay must be in play. I'm more like Noctis when I cook. Truly, I'm not that great of a cook, but it works.
Asleep since I returned from the
next semester, we'll do a cooking stream for sure.
Taya says he should be back on his feet soon enough. For a while, at least. She discovered something on his chest. A swelling, circled in stone.
The curse.
The curse. That one guy obsessed with Drake's Fang.
Another rises up to greet us, doesn't it?
Isn't that the truth? When we overcome one thing, a new one comes for us.
Even the sky seems to have grown tired of it all.
It's purple haze over everybody. Things fall apart. And so here we have the beginning of the theme of the night.
If I disturb Joshua while he rests, I might as well see what Otter has to say.
This section is about kind of the lowest point for the party, right? They are this is the lowest they've been, and you can kind of see, I do want to kind of show this right out here. You can kind of see how dark and gloomy it all is. This purple haze over the sky here. It just really shows that, you know, things are not going well. And so with this, taking away the sunlight, taking away the pretty blue sky, I mean, I don't know if any of you get seasonal depression, but this would do it for me. Oh, Big G. This fan-made 15 cookbook, that is a great cookbook. If you haven't seen it, you got to. It's a good one.
And Gav?
He's with your uncle in the Free Cities, helping Mid with her project. Sent an owl their way the moment the winds turned foul. Still waiting on a reply, though.
Do you have any good news?
Well, that depends on your definition of good.
You know me well. I do want to fish.
Fine. What do you suggest we do?
Oh, no, I'm just the messenger. I leave the scheming to those more suited to the task. Could be that Lady Vivian and Old Tomes have their own thoughts on the current state of things. Could be that they don't. It certainly can't hurt to ask.
I suppose not.
Vivian. Yeah, I would love fishing in this game. I'd also like Chocobo something.
Not that you are
the
to
racing
blame for the
mechanics are there.
Dominion's fate.
But rebirth is coming,
No
so.
one could have predicted the actions of the Crown Prince.
I'm sorry I couldn't save your home.
My countrymen are stronger than you think. A few toppled clock towers won't break their spirits. They'll be back on their feet in no time.
I hope so.
I hope so.
Look at us. Bluer than a pair of bog crabs. Tempting though it may be, sulking will not help us find a solution to this mess.
You believe there's one to be found?
I don't know. But I am certain we're more likely to find it if we first examine the facts.
Ah, I love a good lecture.
Beneath these darkened skies, fear and confusion reign over Valisthea. Oh, the lands around the fallen mother crystals had already begun to wilt for want of ether.
She does.
But not like this. Crystals that filled wells and fueled furnaces. Now nothing but pretty shards of rock. And those that hang from the people's necks cast nary a glimmer of light to keep the dark at bay. It is only a matter of time before the common folk convince themselves that the end of days is upon us. Yet I fear
The end of days.
it's
Yeah.
more than we can hope for. While most of the world thirsts for ether, the remainder drowns in it, spawning Akashic in droves. And amidst the hordes of mindless beasts, with magics as like to fail as function, even the strongest nation would falter. Rosaria and the Iron Kingdom teeter on the brink of collapse, while the tragedy in Twinside has all but paralyzed the Holy Empire. Dalmekia fares little better. Rumor has it the ministers fled the capital after the fall of Drake's Fang, leaving their beloved republic to crumble. Waloed, meanwhile, moves in earnest. The Einherjar has been sighted off Storm. The world, in short, is in chaos.
The
It would
world is
seem
in
our
chaos. Yeah.
civilization was nothing but a castle of sand, to be washed away at the whim of the waves.
A castle of sand.
There's a lot I want to say about
Not my
this here.
best
This
flourish,
is good.
but it seemed fitting. The reports I've received are considerably more blunt in their appraisal. Without the protection of their nations, it will fall to the people to defend
Chaos.
themselves against those who would take what is theirs.
Which is only ever going to end one way.
Defending a farmhouse against a band of chocobo thieves is one thing, but pitchforks and palisades will do little to stall an army's advance. Should the King of Waloed deign to invade, there would be none to stop him.
None but us.
Us.
She mentions this castle made of sand, that their civilization was built on a castle, as a castle made of sand, and I think that that is a really, it's a really close analogy to something that Jesus says in the New Testament, right? Talking about the man that builds his house on a foundation of sand versus a foundation of stone, and what he says is that when you build your life on me, my teachings, then it is like the person that builds his house on rock, that when storms come, when chaos rages, you'll be able to endure. And while we're not quite to some of the Savior Jesus analogies quite yet in this game, those are going to come a little bit later. I think that's a really, really important thing to note here, that there comes a moment when humanity begins to, because of its trials and tribulations, begins to realize, okay, what have we really built our society on? Vivian said that some people are running around saying that this is the end of the world, this is the end of days. I think that that is another really key thing. I don't know what part of the world y'all live in, but you can tell by me saying y'all. I'm in the South, right? I'm in Alabama, and we are the Bible Belt, the buckle of the Bible Belt in a lot of cases. And because of that, we have a lot of theology that is deemed very evangelical, very biblical literalist, that sort of thing. And people take a lot of comfort in that kind of ideology. But one thing that has been coming up with extraordinary increasing magnitude is this question of, are we in the end times or the end of days? Now, my brother, I was at the football game on Saturday with him, and he teaches around the Birmingham area, and he's a coach, football coach, as well as a science teacher. And he said to me, Wade, have you gotten students that are asking you if it's the end of the world? And I said, well, why? And he mentioned this war and conflict between Israel and Palestine. And I think, regardless of what somebody believes about Israel and Palestine and theologies around the end of days in Israel-Palestine, what I have found is that people try to make sense of things that are beyond sense. They try to make sense of nonsensical things. And one of the ways that we do that is by looking to divine stories, divine narratives, bringing a reason to everything. There's something that's passed around in a lot of circles that I'm in that says everything happens for a reason. But I would submit to you, there's a great book, actually, called Not Everything, the name of the book is Everything Happens for a Reason and Other Lies I've Loved. Pretty damning title. But the author, and I am forgetting her name off the top of my head. In fact, let me Google it because I'm embarrassed that I've forgotten her name. But the author, she wrote this as Kate Bowler is her name. Kate Bowler. She is she's a professor, instructor over at Duke University and Duke Divinity School particularly. But she came out of a prosperity gospel community and culture. And she believed that for the longest time until she got cancer. And this saying of everything happens for a reason and other lies I've loved is kind of her work processing some of that prosperity, trying to make sense of these promises that she's always loved when the world goes awry. And that's kind of the heart of what we're talking about here. How are people making sense when everything falls apart, when you lose, when the world goes to crap, when those you love are in the infirmary, like Clive's brother Joshua is right now? What do you hold on to? And this is where we get into this resilience of the human spirit stuff. So, there you go. There's an impromptu mini lecture tonight. Go figure.
Let me guess. You're here about the skies.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you don't know, Lawsman?
It doesn't take a court astrologer to argue the obvious. As for what has disturbed the heavens, that, I believe, is a question the Fallen might be better placed to answer than I.
Leon, it's hard to talk about this part with the end of the world because of spoiler stuff. Okay, let's look at this.
Sons and daughters. But I dare say you remember your childhood lessons on the sins of Zemeckis only too well.
You think they're connected? That Ultima was one of the gods responsible?
Well, he has certainly exhibited powers that we mortals would associate with the divine.
There is nothing divine about him.
But he wouldn't be the first god of whom that could be said, now would he? Yet for all the fairy tales that tell of the sins, there is almost nothing in the way of actual historical accounts. Had I the Journal of Moss the Chronicler, I may have been able to tell you more, but alas, I fear all remaining copies have been lost to time. You will forgive me, I hope?
Certainly not. Because there is nothing to forgive.
Good
Even
guy,
without
Clive.
this journal, you provided us ample wisdom.
Karuai, how are you? I see you've joined the chat. Sorry I missed you coming in. I was in the middle of
Perhaps Otto will be more inclined
talking,
to
I
share
guess.
his thoughts when he hears what the others had to say.
Let me recap some of the chat stuff because I was kind of rambling while y'all were talking. Look this up. The Einherjar refers to the Vikings that died in battle and were carried away by the Valkyries to Valhalla. Oh, that is pretty cool. That's a neat tidbit. To my side, my noble Einherjar. Thank goodness for notifications. Had passed out for the last 30 minutes or so of last stream. Oh man, yeah, a lot of people struggled with that. That stream went on a little longer than I anticipated. I was burning up. I took off the cosplay, by the way, on Tuesday night. It was sweaty. I was covered in sweat. Oh boy. Oh, hey, Jill.
Clive.
Clive.
Problem.
Only one.
Only one. I love Clive.
There are three. We had as many owls arrive while you were at the shelves. Martha's got a Akashic at her gates, and talk of monsters roaming the hills outside of Northreach has put the wind up Isabel and her lot.
And don't forget Dalimil. Lubor says the village was raided by bandits.
When it rains.
It fucking pours.
Things have been a little rough lately, but a good lecture helps the mind and spirit. Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Even if I could get word to all of them,
It sounds like a lot of people are taking L's right now. The more that I talk to students, colleagues, friends, a lot of people are taking L's right now. So I'm sorry that you're in it, but I'm so glad that you were here, and I hope that we can bring a little bit of joy to you tonight. Thing is, no one knows when the world will end. There'll be wars and rumors of wars for each century. People back then thought that it was the end of the world, and many theorize when the revelation will happen. Yeah, you are absolutely right about that. For as long as I've been alive, there's been 2 or 3 different times where people would say, oh, it's going to be such and such day. The New Testament, Jesus himself says no one knows the hour or the time when the world's going to end. So if you live in the Christian worldview, then like he said it right there, it's not there. But that doesn't stop some people. Let's go to the desert first because I hate the desert most. But I remember when I was in high school, there was a guy a couple years older than me. He was convinced, and his church was convinced, that Jesus was returning on such and such day. And oh no. But he was convinced that that Jesus was returning on such and such day. So he didn't do any of his assignments because they were all due after such and such day, right? He didn't do any of them. And he failed his classes because of that. Obviously, Jesus didn't return that day. But it was, I was like, man, that was a lot of faith, but maybe a misplaced, misguided faith in that respect. So, I don't know. Again, people trying to make sense of the craziness of life and the world. Oh, I've got so many stories. I'll tell you some more stories after we get through this traumatic moment. Yeah, assurance is that God won't leave nor forsake it. And that's the enduring promise of the New Testament, right? Christians hold that as the hope. Let's talk to these people first.
In such a sorry state, you can blame the bandits, them and the mercenaries who are guarding the gates. Though I can hardly fault them for running. Fighting would have meant death.
When it strikes me that, just as like there is all of this bloodshed here, the 1st and 2nd century Christians were also kind of receiving some of that same persecution. You read about that in the book of Acts and in the letters of Paul. But there was a hope that Jesus was going to return any day then. And for that reason, there were all of these verses in the New Testament. This is kind of an interesting thing. I'll zoom in. There are all these verses in the New Testament that says he's going to return soon, probably in our lifetimes, likely in our lifetimes. So hasten the day, first of all, that's going to happen. But hold on. Don't worry about like your life because he's going to return. So it's in that same spirit that Paul is actually saying, yeah, there's a lot of trouble happening, but the dead in Christ will rise and we will meet him in the air. He also says, don't worry about families, meaning if you're single, stay single. I wish that it's better for you to not get married and be single like me. Again, it is this idea that Jesus is going to return any moment. So don't worry with the typical worries of families, of husbands and wives and marriage and kids and all that kind of stuff, because time is of the essence, and we got to, quote, save as many people as possible. So that's a fascinating thing that doesn't really get talked about in a lot of circles when you're reading the New Testament. There is an urgency that says we don't have time for trivialities. Now, that's all well and good, except when, if none of the Christians are settling down and reproducing, well, that's great if Jesus is returning any day now, but it's not great if 2,000 years later he still hasn't. So that's a fascinating thing. Again, that's a very contextual piece of the New Testament that was taken as law in a lot of ways. So in some circles. Anyway, I've got more stories about that, weirdly enough. What we have is assurance. Yep. I remember the days of all the 12, 21, 2012. Oh, yeah. Into the world rumors. Terrified when you were a kid, but bemused you when it actually came 3 years later without so much as a snowstorm. That's fair. That's really funny. That's really funny. Okay, back to it. Let's see what ails have befallen Lubor.
Your new companion appears much more formidable than your uncle.
He is weirdly uplifting here, like chipper.
You haven't been introduced.
Jill, Clive has told me much about you.
All lies, I'm sure.
All lies.
Stolas said that Dalimil has a bandit problem.
Indeed. Although, you're a little late. They left with our food and guild days ago. Any idea where they went? The desert's a big place. Your guess is as good as mine. But the fact is, I have more immediate concerns.
What did you say to me? What did you say?
Ah, as if by magic. Let's just say we've yet to reach a consensus about how to solve Dalimil's little problem. And at this
Leon, that's a great point. That's a great wall of text. Yeah. The end of an era, perhaps. And that's really cool.
Perhaps we could talk to them.
Lubor never drops a mask.
What makes you think they won't?
That man is always on.
She makes a fair point, Sid. And you won't have wasted much of your precious time if you fail. They're just across the courtyard.
Mm-hmm. Wow, 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 wow.
Suppose we just follow the shouting.
Let's follow the shouting. Oh, no, we're stuck on the dead body. Okay.
You wouldn't talk like that if it had been your men whose throats were slit. Blood for blood. It's the only way.
Blood
We
for
hire
blood.
mercenaries and have them mount the bandits' heads on our walls as a lesson to the rest.
And what happens when those mercenaries are slaughtered like your men? Are you going to hire more? We're better off using that coin to buy food and supplies. If we hire mercenaries, the only thing we're buying is the bandits' ire. And you cannot fill empty bellies with that. Do you hear me?
But what happens when they come back? Maybe it'll be your throat that's slit.
Even side characters have great voice actors.
Both of you. Any more of this and I'll throw you out myself.
Mm-hmm.
Come back when you're ready to talk like adults.
This is me in the classroom. Come back when you're ready to talk like adults.
Victor.
Victor.
What's he doing here?
Sid. And Lady Jill.
And Lady Jill.
What brings you here?
I was about to ask you the same thing.
Costness is in chaos, and the markets have all but ceased to operate. The Briar's Kiss here in Dalimil is the only place I can reliably obtain supplies. I was here to do just that when Master Lubor told me of his troubles. He thought I might be able to talk some sense into these fools. But if you're here, I suppose his patience must be waning.
Who are those people?
Those were the thorns in Lubor's side. And the reason this place might be headed the same way as Costner's. It's these accursed skies. The darkness is enough to drive a man to madness. Or an entire city, for that matter.
We're still working on the skies. But in the meantime,
We're still working on the
we have to
skies.
find a solution to Dalamil's problems.
I hope so. For all our sakes.
So we got these two factions.
So, you see my predicament?
What I saw was a room full of people who were angry and afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And with good reason by the sound of it. But if left to smolder, that anger and fear could set the entire town alight.
My thoughts exactly.
Today I'm cosplaying as a Under Armour model.
Both sides wish to protect their homes and livelihoods, if only they could agree on how. But as long as they are divided, we are vulnerable.
And if there's one thing bandits like, it's an easy target.
What would Sid the Outlaw suggest?
Not Slay.
Well, if it were my namesake, he'd let them choose for themselves and be on hand to pick up the pieces when it all went wrong.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
A recipe for disaster is precisely what it is. But perhaps that realization would be enough to make them question the ingredients. While it's plain neither Conrad nor Natalie will countenance the other's proposal, it may still be possible to make them doubt their own. Before presenting them with a third option.
Mm.
And that would be?
This is chess.
Pool our resources and save the city ourselves. Why fight each other
When all that fear and anger can be directed at the bandits.
It appears we have a plan of action. Victor, pay Conrad a visit. See if you can't convince him of his folly. I'll speak with Natalie.
As you wish.
Your faces are not well known in this town. That may prove useful.
They do remember me as the one that trashed the tavern, though.
You need only play along.
Just how one can read about the Nordics and Ragnarok. The Aesir gods thought Ragnarok, the world is ending with Surt's fire. However, in the end of the Norse myth, the world didn't end. Lif and Thracer, the two humans who hid in the world tree, survived Surt's fire, and world would repopulate and move on to a new era, ending the age of Aesirs, Vanir, Frost Giants, and the Realms. Yeah. That does parallel the end of FF16. There's a lot of Norse allusion in this. My pal, MJ Gallagher, he is working on some of those parallels and stuff.
If I had my pickaxe, I would.
If you haven't noticed, one of the things that I
They're not done with us
try to
yet.
focus on is we make allusions to existing religions, but then there's the practicality of it. What do we do with that? Why are they telling the story? If as Dewey, educational theorist and philosopher, I guess, writes, if the point of education is to direct or redirect or alter human behavior, then why are they telling these stories in this way? What are they saying about the human spirit that is redirecting it? Certainly in these stories of end of the world, afterlife. Oh, look at this person. Let's buy some potions. Why don't we do that? That's a great idea. We never buy potions, but tonight we're going to remember and not die.
Here you are.
One thing that I like here is that when confronted with chaos and trouble, it's very rare that you're going to have consensus, especially in a society like this, where there's different factions.
Here he is now.
If anybody watched the Republican debate last night, you can kind of get this sense.
League of Merchants. Lord Underhill.
The world will end, current world, but there will be a new heaven, new earth. So kind of hope in afterlife sort of thing. Yeah.
I was just telling the good lady of our conversation, my lord, and how you were lamenting the state of the capital's stores.
Lubor says that not only are the granaries almost empty, but that war and the blight mean this season's harvest won't be enough to fill them for winter.
Indeed, certainly that is the case. The nobles in the capital are buying up the city's stocks of barley and wine, driving the prices higher than most commoners can afford. It is only a matter of time before the peasants revolt.
It is worse than I thought. If what Lord Underhill says is true, I fear we have little hope of supplementing our stores, meager though they regrettably are. And while I applaud your endeavors to dissuade our more bellicose citizens from seeking vengeance, I sense Conrad is not wrong in his assessment of the bandits' likely return.
You don't hear bellico very much. Underhill might be a subtle reference to Lord of the Rings. That's what I thought the first time that I heard it too. I don't think you're reading too much into it. I mean, they have a quest that references an Ace of Base song, so I think Lord of the Rings is completely on the table.
All right. If it will help to protect my home, I'll do it. But you needn't have gone through this charade.
Huh. This charade.
Thank you, Clive. Your performance was nothing if not workmanlike.
She saw right through it.
I didn't say it was good. It produced the desired effect. Now, my scouts should be returning shortly. Meet me back at the Briar's Kiss, and we shall see what we face.
We shall. No apologies necessary. We love the passion. We love the passion.
I'm scared.
Mummy, I'm scared. What if the bad men come back?
Picture it.
Oh. I'm drinking coffee, but man, the sleepiness is winning.
Here she is.
Lady of the Spear.
Lady of the Spear herself. Conrad, may I introduce you to Jane, commander of the Red Wings.
Final Fantasy IV reference.
The oldest mercenary guild in the Free Cities.
A pleasure.
Gosh, I love the Red Wings. Oh.
Pleasure is all mine.
As I told you, I summoned the commander here from Canberra to inquire about a contract.
Victor says you told him no. That there aren't any men left to hire. Is that true?
True as the crystals cracked. Nobles came and claimed every last one worth his salt. And not just from us Red Wings. You know of the 7 high houses. There must be 2 swords assigned each one. Granted, we have a few boys.
Is the audio kind of wonky every now and then? Kind of cutting out?
Well, Conrad,
It's cutting out for me a little bit.
saying that Dallam's finest cannot defend this town better than a gaggle of unblooded striplings? That a band of beardless youths could better avenge the deaths of your brave men than you yourselves?
Absolutely not.
Enjoy, Hoven. Enjoy that
Show
paper.
those bastards who they're dealing with.
You show 'em.
I can't believe that actually worked.
Conrad's not what you called the brightest candle in the crypt.
The
But
brightest
there's a reason why
candle in the
you do
crypt.
talking and not Sid. Well played, my lady.
I'm not convinced our roles in this ruse were entirely necessary.
Yeah, same, Jill.
I don't know. Conrad seemed quite taken with you.
Good news, Sid. Both Conrad and Natalie have somewhat gracefully accepted their new roles. With time, they may even learn to.
Time no longer appears to be the luxury it was before lunch.
I take it your scouts found the bandits.
Technically, it would be the bandits who found my scouts. It appears they marched for Dalamil as we...
Finally, some fighting.
All of them.
You're not serious.
They don't just want food, they want the...
They do have a lot of bangers, and I think that The Sign is one of the most overrated songs of theirs. It's fine, but it is not their best.
The bandits march in 2 groups.
I like the song Young and Proud.
Doubtless intended to stretch
I remember I used to play Final Fantasy VI listening to that, and I would draw the characters while listening to that Ace of Base soundtrack. Or not soundtrack, album. So good. Are we thinking the Game Awards will be when more info about the DLC will be announced? You know, I don't know. They're saying that next summer the DLC should start dropping for this game. So I don't know. Game Awards may be too soon. If they did, oh my gosh, look out. I think we're going to see Sid from 7 Rebirth. Yeah, next summer is when it's supposed to drop, is what they said during the original announcement. That's fine. We got plenty to play till then. So much to play.
The women folk have come to breakfast.
I'll take that one.
Will ya? Dang it. There we go. I cannot get that hit off. It is a journey, isn't it? How are you tonight, Prav? Ba-da-ba-da-ba. Oh, no, you don't. Some R&R, nice. People usually working at this time in New Zealand? I gotcha, I gotcha. I've always wanted to go to New Zealand. Is that New Zealand? Is that what you're talking about? I've always wanted to go there. I have yet to make it, though. That's awesome. What's the weather like there now? Is it warm? Is it cool? Second breakfast. The Sultan. 20 degrees Celsius. Okay, okay. That is. With Lord Underhill here. Ow. Get up, Clive. Sick him, Torgal. No, Torgal. Probably won't get it, but 16 has some Wheel of Time references. Interesting. I know. I've gotta read that book. It's over.
The townspeople. Could they have held out?
Maybe.
I don't hear any fighting. What do you think?
That we should hurry.
That we should hurry. I do like Jill a lot. Yeah, I'll never hear the end of Lord of the Rings references.
Natalie, I owe you an apology. You did well on that. The inn would have been lost had you not held the line.
I've got to
Without
go
you, there would have
check
been no
out
line
New
to
Zealand
hold.
someday.
You saved us, Conrad.
People do like
You
Jill,
saved
but do you
Oliver.
like Jack?
We all saved
Chaos?
Conrad seems to have had a change of heart.
I'd say they both have.
I take it from your presence that our visitors from the desert won't be joining us either. Pity.
Pity.
The plan worked, Sid. Granted, it only took an army of bloodthirsty bandits at our gate.
Come now, Victor. Why quibble over the details? We are united, and that is all that matters. As for you, Sid,
Beautiful character.
you
Yeah.
fight considerably better than you act. I'll
You
take
are
that
right,
as a
Liam.
compliment.
It definitely does. Down the rabbit hole. Okay, well, we saved them from certain doom. Let's go help. Where do we want to go next? Do we want to go to Northreach, visit the Dame, or do we want to go to Martha's Rest? I'll let y'all pick. While we're doing that, I'll go upgrade my weapons. But yeah, y'all let me know which one you want to go to. Northreach or Martha? Martha? Oh, and I can buy some more potions.
Clive.
Karen.
Can I buy something? Be quick about it.
Whoop.
It'd better all be here. Finished, are you?
Finished. Finished, are ya?
Trouble with your gear, or
I just want you to make me some more. Like this guy.
no scratches, right? Anything
La
else?
la 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 la. Gonna go vote Rosaria. Then off we go. Martha. It's time to toss the dice in Old Tongue. Toss the dice on which will it be, the Dame or Martha? Well, it's going to Martha. Oh no, more death and destruction.
Akashic attacked us out of the blue. And there's no telling when they might be back. You best keep that sword handy, Sid.
Now, we haven't really spent a lot of time talking about the Akashic, but this is another kind of cool piece here. So, primogenesis, the idea of kind of returning things to their first ways, their first orientation or first creation sort of stuff. And so we are about to encounter these beings known as Akashic. We've already encountered them a little bit with ether floods, but Akashic are essentially they are beings that have reverted back to kind of a will that is not their own. They lack their own agency and stuff. And this is the way that I kind of took this is that in this moment of chaos, you see carnality kind of come out as a way of kind of a default mechanism. And I find that to be the case for a lot of people. When we are experiencing threat, trauma, fear, fight or flight sort of stuff, we do kind of return to our base instincts in a lot of ways. The Akashic kind of convey that that idea of just carnality and what a person can become without that sense of agency and will that they are actively directing. So, Martha,
it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Clive. Jill?
Otto said you'd been attacked by Akashic. What exactly happened here?
Those skies are what happened. Not long after they fell dark, we had our first visit. There were hundreds of them. Tried to storm the hill.
Storm the
Only
hill.
a handful made it up here, but that was more than enough. The rest are still down there now. And
Good
while
question,
we have
Prav.
female fighters
What
on
is
their
everybody's
back,
favorite
they're
song
sorely outnumbered.
from this game?
What do you think, Clive?
That we join the fight.
I thought you'd never.
Karuai, that's an excellent example. Excellent example. The way that we cope, we oftentimes satiate or fill or sometimes overfill our base carnal needs and instincts, whether that is hunger, whether that is sex, or whether that is any of our sleep.
Do you think they're as many as Martha says?
We try to satisfy those carnal elements because we physically, emotionally cannot deal with what's going on in our heads and our hearts. And so what do? We satisfy those needs in other ways. And then this idea of abstinence, this idea of kind of fasting from those carnal base instincts in order to redirect will toward healthy habits. That's a key piece. And a lot of religions do that. I mean, Christianity does it, Judaism does it, Hinduism, even Buddhist thought talks about this suppression in some ways of the carnal instinct to allow the divine spirit to kind of live into you. By subjecting the body, you are able to experience the divine image once again. We'll certainly get to talking about that when we talk about our boy Barnabas. To the Fallen Gate.
You don't think they've abandoned us?
My favorite songs from this game, number one is Ascension. Oh my gosh, I love Ascension so much. Look at Battle Ambrosia. I forgot that I gave Ambrosia armor. Look at that. You look great, Ambrosia. Ascension is great. Away is great. And I feel like those are like the obvious choices for a lot of people. One that I really love is No Risk, No Reward. Man, when that like almost bridge point hits, oh god, I'm just like, that's so good.
Clive, wounded.
Ascension. I am a copycat. I love Ascension though.
We deal with the Akashic first.
First time I heard it, it was so good. Depending on your mood, Riddle or Sail to Forbidden Seas. Oh yeah, that's also a great one. Bow, bow, bow. Oh man, I love Find the Flame. And Find the Flame was probably my favorite until I heard All Is One, which I think is like, All Is One is like when Find the Flame primes. I love it so much. Absolutely love that one. That one is my, that's my PR song. If I'm going to listen to Final Fantasy XVI music during a workout, it's going to be All Is One for a PR song. Find the Flame leveled up. Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it takes the the basic melody and adds so much to it. It's just like incredible. I love it. May I have this dance? That's funny. That is funny. I like that. May I have this dance? Really like the storytelling, not just through the lyrics, but the mood of the music. Yeah, Ruby, I agree. What's your favorite as far as the storytelling? I think that I mentioned mine. Ascension storytelling is just so stinking good. Oh, when we go over the All Is One lyrics, oh my gosh. Hold on to your hat, because that's when the gloves are off. That's when everything is like on the table. And we love that. Ba 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 ba. Find the Flame is so good. Have y'all heard Fuzz Pixels? Kind of, it's not really ska. What is it? Punk remix of Find the Flame? Fuzz Pixels. It's so good.
If you've come to rob this place.
You are mistaken, my Lord Rosfield. We're here by Madame Martha's leave.
How do you know my name?
Forgive me, my lord.
Everyone knows your
There
name.
wasn't time for introductions. We're with the Guardians of the Flame.
Wade's men.
Wade's men. That's right.
Where is your commander?
Sir Wade left earlier with a scouting party to find out where the...
Oh, you got to check out Fuzz Pixels. He's also got an amazing rendition of My Star. Oh gosh, he's so good. He's so good.
We'll join you in on.
And to think you took them for thieves. A fine reward for holding off the horde, that is.
When did Wade and his men arrive?
Not long after Rosalith fell. The Guardians asked me to shelter some of them that had lost their homes. They were making ready to leave.
Yeah. The riddle is so good. Gosh, it's good.
Martha, trouble. The scouting party's almost at the lift. But they got a pack of Akashics.
Prav, yes. Bow is so good. That's the moment where I loved the game, but that's the moment where I was like, is this one of my top tier Final Fantasy games? When I heard Bow and that sequence, oh my gosh, yes. We're not going to talk about it in full right now, but like, gosh, that's great. Because, you know, spoilers, etc., etc., but... I love that song, though. It's so good. It's haunting. That inspired you to try and work on your setting? What do you mean, work on your setting? Sir Wade?
Squire, I need you to get those who can still walk up the lift to Martha's. But what about... I didn't ask, Oscar. Sir.
Sir Wade.
Sir Wade!
Lord Rosfield. If you aren't a sight for sore eyes.
Martha seemed to think you might
Big agree, some dude. Yes.
We thought we could
writing a fantasy setting of your own personal project. That's awesome, Kurai. You're going to have to let us know when you get that going.
Behind you.
This stream should have been the Joshua Phoenix stream. You think so?
Damn it. We need to get the injured to safety.
Do you think we can hold them off?
We can certainly try. Are you with us, Sir Wade?
Always.
My thinking with the Phoenix is that it's probably going to be one of the last streams that we do, at least based on some of the things that I want to talk about with the Phoenix. But if you want to talk about some Phoenix stuff tonight, then you absolutely can feel free to. Ow. Oh my goodness. We're just going to hit this lightning bolt here. Dodge, no! What's up, Dragoon Knight? How you doing? Good to see you. Is that a Yuffie emoji? Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love that. You have a lot to say about Phoenix at endgame? Yeah, our Phoenix lecture is going to be probably one of the final ones, just because I think that the ending really vivifies the Phoenix ideology. We'll also talk more in a couple of streams about some stuff after the Odin fight. Right now, you know, I think in a lot of ways, Phoenix Joshua represents perhaps hope, but it's kind of an odd thing to think of hope of the divine. If we look at if we're talking about divine attributes, right? It is an odd idea for the deity to have hope, or like hope in himself, right? So I almost want to say that the Phoenix would mean something along the lines of perseverance, the insistence, perseverance of the divine in the divine's work toward humanity. So, Dragoon Knight, welcome to the stream, to the chat. If you are, I can't remember if this is your first time in the stream or not, but we're talking about how the icons in this game relate to some of the attributes or characteristics of real-world deities and religions. And so we talked about how Titan, in a lot of ways, represents the strength of the divine. Sid's Rama represents... Hey! Sid represents provision, Garuda, divine control, and the ability to, you know, have the whole world in their hands, so to speak. I am using up all of my potions. I like the idea of Phoenix as hope, but again, I do struggle with the idea that hope is more of a human characteristic and not necessarily a divine characteristic. Because humanity puts hope in the divine, whereas the divine, I guess you could say that the divine has hope and holds out hope for humanity in some ways. What do y'all think? But I could see humanity's, the divine's relentless pursuit as embodying Joshua. Anyway, we'll definitely be able to talk more candidly once we get to the ending of this game. Okay, good. I think we got him here. This guy was heavily armored. Needlessly armored. Sir Wade?
Is anyone hurt?
I don't think
If your issue is hope being a divine attribute,
Yes, again, you've pulled me from the flames.
it's similar to rebirth in that there's more out there, and rebirth is very close to a divine attribute. Okay, I can maybe go with that.
Shield worthy of the name.
I see you're all in one piece.
Martha!
Ah, good point, Kurai.
Is something wrong?
The lookout saw smoke coming from down East Pool way. Too thick
Yeah,
to be a hearth.
A second horde.
Just as we kind of think about all of these divine attributes, I think that Joshua is definitely the embodiment of hope, right?
The moment my men are safe, I'll follow.
Faith, maybe. What would the phoenix represent? If the phoenix is a deity, what does that represent? Life? How life endures? Oh, have I gone the wrong way? Probably. No, I haven't. Okay. A divine attribute of constance. Change. Okay, interesting. Kind of like that. Considering the recurring phoenix feather, we see the phoenix as life, giving us hope in the form of the feather. Yeah, that's good. Akashic goblins.
They're headed for the rest.
You have to slow them down. Martha and the others won't be ready.
Concept of answering prayers. I didn't see that, some dude. And because I'm in these battles, I can't scroll up. Would you mind copying and pasting if you can? Woo! Kind of ties into hope, but like the notion that people pray or hope for things from their gods. That's an interesting thing. I wonder if one aspect of the phoenix is the idea of immanence, meaning kind of continual presence, right? I think that's an interesting idea too. The fist of chess motif and phonetic feather also tie into what some dude is talking about. Okay, that's cool. Hey, if you can, but like the notion that people pray or hope for things from their gods. Oh, I like that. I do like that. It really appears that Phoenix is kind of like,
Something's coming.
Apologies, my lord.
What's up, Lady of the Rings? What's up? Welcome. Yeah, divine attributes are just human concepts and virtues with attribute to divine beings. Well, I think that the difference is that the divine can back it up in a way that humanity can't, right? Or that the divine may not need to do. And so when we talk about divine hope, for instance, what is the divine hoping for? And so how would you answer that question? What does the divine hope for? Well, welcome home, Lady of the Rings. I'm so glad that you made it tonight. I'm all out of wall of text. Not to worry. Give it some time. You'll find another wall in you. I feel confident of it. Ow! The notion of persistence, eternal presence has some weight too. Clive repeatedly says always with me when holding the phoenix feather to his heart. Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah. I didn't even make that connection, but that's a good point. Again, this idea that, and I think that idea of the phoenix as this ever-present, imminent sort of thing is an important one, right? And so the phoenix, even though it dies, it's still with us. It's still with you, which goes into it. I feel like saying that the phoenix has to have a divine attribute or be above humanity kind of goes against the idea that they're trying to move away from that, and how the theme song Away refers to leaving the nether, which can be seen as the divine. Yeah, to some degree, but I think that there is a delineation between the human dominant and the icon that they're talking about. And so I'm totally on board with you, Ruby, about that being part of Joshua's manifestation. But then what is the phoenix's? If it is completely divine here, what's the mythos of the phoenix? And I think that maybe the mythos of the phoenix is that, it is this idea of resurrection, rebirth. It's the idea of perpetual hope. But ultimately, and I think that I'm being sold on this the more I talk about it, the phoenix, the mythos of the phoenix is the story about how the divine is always present and it's always there. So there's an element of transcendence. And I think that, Kurai, that's with all of the icons. There's a transcendence that is made manifest to some degree within the dominance. And so you've got this connection. Again, this is not necessarily our Phoenix stream, but I do appreciate the conversation because I feel like my hands are a little bit tied behind some spoiler walls. Yeah. This is good. I love it.
No.
Hey, Prev, have a great night. Thanks for hopping in. Great day, I guess, wherever you are. Enjoy. Bye, buddy.
What did you find out there?
The same as Sir Wade.
Yeah, Ruby, that's exactly why I'm like, let's have Phoenix Night toward the end of the game.
Say the lowlands are clear. Hopefully we'll have enough time to lick our wounds.
How many of your men were injured?
A damn sight less than if you hadn't turned up. Thank you.
It was a hard-fought victory. But as long as the skies remain dark, I fear the Akashic's numbers are only going to rise. It's not a matter of if the Horde will be back, but when. And whether that's sooner or later, we'll need to be ready. The inn here affords a good view of the land, and is easily defendable. I'd like to make this one of our outposts.
What do you say, Martha? You'd have more men to guard the rest.
Well, when you put it like that, of course they can stay.
Of course they can stay.
My lord, there's someone I'd like you to meet.
Ooh, sense of legacy in a new age. Yeah, we're gonna definitely talk about that, right? The ending stream may be a 4-hour stream, just talking about the ending.
It is an honor to make your acquaintance, Lord Rossfield. I am Oscar. Oscar of House Murdoch.
Murdoch? I wasn't aware the Lord Commander had children.
Oh, he didn't. But his brother, my father, did. I am Sir Rodney's nephew. Well, go on then. It's not for me to ask him. Yes, Sir Wade.
It may be a 12-hour stream. I'm not even joking. Like, that's insanity.
If it please you, my Lord Marquis, might you take me as your squire? I would learn the duties of a shield from the finest.
Yeah, Leon, I see what you're saying there. That's a,
But I am a shield no longer. Nor was I ever the finest. And spending time in the company of an outlaw hardly seems a fitting education for
That's how
one
dominants are.
aspiring to take his oaths.
My Aunt Hannah once told me that a man is not defined by
What
his
do you
title,
mean by
or
that? That's how
his
dominants
name.
are.
You have accomplished much since taking on the mantle of Cid, winning no little honor in so doing.
Ah, gotcha. So it's almost like the spirit of this dominant.
Than an unworthy shield. Not that Soe
Thank you,
and the
supportive.
other guardians are. I mean to say that they're. It's all right.
To this day, poor Oscar. Maybe he's the DLC. I think people would riot.
But a squire.
Would that really be so bad? You were a squire once. And I'm certain Sir Rodney would approve.
I'm a shield no longer.
Know that I'll show you as much leniency as your uncle showed me.
I would not have it any other way.
Any other way. All right. Time to go to Northreach. I am a shield of Rosaria. I'm a shield no longer.
First we find Isabel.
Yeah, Trulian. Of course, you also get this one phoenix that perpetually evades death.
Then a wall won't stop them.
Some dude, he's got to keep the facade up. I am your shield, Joshua, except that when you're not around. Well, Professor, if Joshua is the ever-present of the divine, what does that mean for Clive as the shield of the phoenix? Why would the divine need protection? So I think that it's, I think that we're talking about, I think we're talking about the frailty of the one that summons the icon, right? It's not necessarily that he's the shield of the phoenix per se, but he is the shield of Joshua, the way I at least understand it. Of course, with him becoming Ifrit, he can kind of step up and help defend the phoenix at that point. But I think that there's probably something to that, that he's the shield of his brother in human form. So I don't necessarily want to push that symbology too much, or that symbolism too much there, but we could, but
I do like a customer who knows what he wants.
But I would also say
And a fine
that has something to do with the ending as well. I disagree because the shield is specified to shield the Firebird's flames. Okay, what does that even mean? To shield the Firebird's flames. Clive and I have a lot in common. I protect, I do not attack. Fair. Yep. Let's come this way.
I can't do it.
What do you think it means to be the shield of this attribute of ever-presence? I can't necessarily answer that question until we get to the ending.
We received the Dane's message. There have been sightings of strange creatures, I understand.
With the blue eyes. Yes. Like a Kashik, but different. They've taken so many. I've lost count.
Akashic, but different.
Ultimus thralls. And what of your mistress? Is she here?
The Firebird flames could be literal as in shielding Phoenix, but it could be more symbolic as in protecting the idea of the Phoenix. I suppose you could just think of it as undying loyalty to your chosen god or philosophy. Something that I might say without going into spoiler territory, are you familiar with the end of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, everybody? When Zack names Cloud his living legacy, that his heroism is going to be preserved through Cloud. I think that in some ways this may be what one who is a shield of the Phoenix is going to do. Because, I mean, you see this kind of in Clive after the alleged death of Joshua. He is hunting down, right? But then also he's preserving the idea of his brother. Now that, again, I can't talk more about that until we get to the ending, because that's a lot. I suppose the Firebird's flames symbolic for Zarya, byproduct of the Phoenix, representative of the Archduke. Yeah. And yes, I capitalized that on purpose for the upcoming group reveal. I think it means to preserve the ideas of that divine figure and the people that follow it as Clive fights for a new age. Yeah, Ruby, you and I are on the same page here. Yeah, absolutely. Like how Clive loses his mind when the Black Shields do their thing, it's definitely more of an insult to the idea of the Phoenix. Yeah, I was going to say this, save this, but want to hear me out on my notes for Joshua and Phoenix, as long as they don't delve into the ending, Leon. Yeah, you can definitely, because apparently we're talking about the Phoenix tonight. But again, I do think that there's a degree of resilience of the human spirit inherent in the story of Joshua and the Phoenix. And tonight it's about the resiliency of the human spirit as we go to these 3 different towns. So, I mean, it tracks, right? The spirit of the Phoenix is alive and well in these parts.
Madame, please! Half the garrison's been slaughtered by those things. We lost the captain this very morning.
We've tried requesting reinforcements, but there's been no word from the capital or the Dominion in days. What more would you have us do?
The plan for this stream tonight is the resiliency of the human spirit. Yeah, Leon, hold on to it then. Yeah, that's why I said no spoilers.
Because they are my charges, and that is my duty. In case you have forgotten, the people of this town are your charges. But more than that, they are your people.
Slight spoilers. I mean, you can allude, but...
So you have a choice. Lay down your sword and watch as they are slaughtered, or take it up and do what is right.
She speaks the truth, you know. This here, it's all we have. It's all that's left.
What we have left is our lives. Do you really want us to lose them as well?
Not if we don't have to. Look, there's a cask under the captain's bunk. Let's talk about this over a drink, eh?
I'm listening.
I'll have a word with him.
Good point, Ruby. Yeah. Isabel and Martha do rule, both of them. They're great.
Ah, Clive.
Ah, Clive.
I didn't expect help to arrive so quickly, and sought to take matters into my own hands.
It was a noble effort, but I thought you might still need some support.
I'd like you to consider my needs.
What we need to consider is where the creatures came from.
The way the survivors speak of them, one would think they appeared out of thin air. And perhaps they did. It's hard to know what to believe these days.
We'll talk to the survivors.
Okay. We'll talk to the survivors.
That thing.
Jill is right there.
Attacked you.
Creatures? Yeah, they came out of nowhere. They went for Joseph first, then me, and then they were just gone.
Do you remember where you were?
On the road from Oriflamme. We just passed more when... Where's my Joseph?
It's all right. Just rest now.
Just rest. Okay, to the other. Let's run over here.
My family.
Here.
You're a pikeman, yes? What happened?
I've got family in Moor. I heard the flood was spreading, so I went to see if they were all right. And a pack of them glowing things found me in the meadow. I ran for my life. I never did get to the village.
Leave that to us.
At least we have an idea of where the thralls might be now. We should head for more.
Let us.
I assume you have a plan?
what we think of the icons in relation to their locations. Can I not jump over that? I was really kind of hoping I could.
It was all they could do to
We haven't really talked about that very much. What do you make of it? I love this song.
Let's go.
It reminds me of the Locks from Stormblood. Alright, so hope, renewal, change are all true of the Phoenix. Those are its attributes and quality. But I ask you in the chat, one is one thing, and that no one attribute or symbol that hasn't been discussed. Say that again, but I ask you and the chat, one is one thing that no one attribute or symbol that hasn't been discussed. I'm not sure what you mean there. I appreciate the random free DLC drop, but if I'm being honest, I prefer Jill's original design. Yeah, me too. Just a really appealing color palette. Same. Don't the icons generally get their power from their respective mother crystal? Yeah, I mean, they do correspond to a certain crystal, yeah. Lore states that various tribes sprouted up around each of the 8 crystals, and they all gave rise to their respective dominance and bloodlines. Yeah.
Clive, look.
That's fair.
I see them. With me.
Okay, what's one attribute that hasn't been discussed? I can think of a few that might traditionally be attributed to the divine. Well,
Should I prime?
Save your strength.
ow. All right. Hmm. Should I prime? Yeah, this is not a big deal at all here. I'm not even using potions at this point, so... Now, we might want to prime here. Ow. Qualities of gods or deities in myth or God's quality. Pettiness, resentment. Those are typical things in Babylonian, Mesopotamian, Greek, and Roman myths. But I can think of things like sovereignty, holiness. God like Yahweh. Yah. Yeah, what are you getting at? Well, I don't know what angle you're going for here. Like, I can list off all kinds of different attributes right now, but There we go. I do not like these guys. Oh. This guy's just like an HP sponge. These parries, man. That's exactly right. Fire and flame. Ooh, that was a neat spin at the end. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. I liked it.
Do you think there are more?
Probably.
There are always more.
There are always more.
But I'd say
Isn't that
we've
the
done
truth?
what we can for the time being.
Then we should let Isabel know.
You have the town's thanks.
Don't thank us yet. There will be more. Many more.
Need to be ready for them.
And you'll need to be ready for them.
Oh, we shall. Isn't that right, Captain?
Yes, milady. The garrison will be ready.
Philippe here has convinced most of the men to remain at their posts. For now, at least.
Hearing that the Dane would look kindly on any man who committed himself to the task certainly didn't hurt. It's not the most selfless of motives, I'll admit. But whatever it takes, eh? Now me, I never needed convincing. I became a soldier to protect the people I love.
She does like him.
And the people I love include the ones standing before me.
Handsome
I love this
and
song.
chivalrous.
Now, if you don't mind, I have sentries to post. Milady.
Lest you wonder, I'm not foolish enough to believe that this has solved all of my problems. But it has solved one. And that's one fewer than I had this morning. Thank you again, Clive.
Wow.
Our friends seem to have things under control.
Let's return to the hideaway. Alright, I had forgotten about those three kind of adjacent quests there. Oh, what am I doing? Going the wrong way, that's what I'm doing. Hey, Jill.
I'd be happy to tell Otto everything that happened. But I know he appreciates it when you spare him the time.
Okay, I'll do it.
Did you see that? Tell me you saw
Alright, Otto.
Was wondering when you turn up.
After I finish doing all the tasks in the world.
Thank you for your timely intervention. How is it you always manage to arrive at just the right moment?
Just lucky, I
I
guess.
suppose. Any word on the rest of the realm?
Let's see. Storm's still crying out for mother crystals. The nations are still in chaos. And the skies are still the colour of a kick in the kidneys.
It's that quest marker, Otto.
Right.
Clive, we knew this was going to happen. Well, not the bleeding skies part, but you take my point. Now's not the time to second guess yourself. Now's the time to visit the infirmary. Talia says your brother's awake.
Thank you, Otto.
Here's our sweet Phoenix boy. And Dion. Hey, Dion.
So it was not Sylvester, but Olivier who served as Ultima's puppet. And when Dion learned of this, he sought to slay the fiend.
The baby chicken.
Only for his father to take the spear that would have freed him. Enough to drive a man to madness.
Small wonder he hasn't stirred.
Carl or
I would be afraid to wake.
That'd be a good pick for Otto. That's true.
Had I but reached out to him sooner, warned him of the threat Ultima posed.
I like it.
But now, both an empire and her prince lie broken.
Joshua, what do you know of Ultima?
Very little, I'm afraid. Despite my best efforts. 18 years ago, as I lay buried beneath the rubble of Phoenix Gate, 'twas not death who came for me, but another. And it was while in my rescuer's care I first heard of Ultima. I've been chasing his shadow ever since. Ultima is driven by some deep, dark purpose, and for whatever reason, it would seem you are crucial to his designs. He will stop at nothing to have you, even if that means toppling an empire.
But why me? What possible use could I be to such a creature?
That is one of many answers that have eluded me. Yet, I am certain of this. It is not mere chance.
Immortal eternity.
For a reason. All dominants carry within them the light of an icon.
Immortality.
Nigh limitless power that is at once
Eternal.
acutely limited.
Okay.
I
That makes sense. That is a divine attribute. That's a good one.
And I only ice.
I like that.
8 wardens for 8 elements.
8 wardens for 8 elements.
Clive.
No, I like that, Leon. That's good. Thank you.
Are different. You're special. Your abilities begin with the flames of Ifrit. But they do not end there. The fact Ifrit can even exist goes against everything we thought we knew of dominance. Perhaps Ultima has been waiting for one such as you, whose potential is truly limitless.
I've encountered that thing several
Your wall of
times now.
text does not show.
If it or he, as you say,
Oh, no,
needs
me.
me, why hasn't he claimed me as he did the boy?
Were I to hazard a guess, I'd say the two of you are somehow incompatible. His mind not properly attuned to your body.
His mind.
Mind, awareness, spirit, call it what you wish. But I believe Ultima to be an embodiment of the concept.
Mind,
It is why
awareness,
I
spirit.
struggle and fail to contain him here inside me.
I'm sorry. Inside you.
With every setting sun, I feel my strength wane. And though the Phoenix's flames mend the prison I have made for Ultima, they do so at a cost. We must find a means to bring an end to him before I meet my own.
What were you thinking?
It was that or let him take Clive. And I've always had a soft spot for my brother.
But that doesn't mean you should sacrifice yourself to save me.
Joshua.
Clive, it's Gav. There's an army of Akashic at the gates of Canver.
Well, what's the short of it?
I thought Tyre told you. The capital of the Free Cities is under siege by an army of monstrosities. The city guard are doing their best to stem the tide, but numbers ain't on their side.
What of Lord Byron and Mid? Were they able to escape?
No, but they're all right for now. They're hiding with Gav at midship.
We have to get them out of there.
And we shall. Otto, prepare a Stolas. Tell Gav to stay exactly where he is.
Understood.
Vivian, what's the swiftest route to the Free Cities?
That sounds like a question for the map. Look here. This road, through Tabor, should provide the least trouble.
Good.
Good.
What a coincidence. Tabor is exactly where I'm bound.
Joshua, Bed is where you should be bound.
Hmm.
You don't think I told him the exact same thing?
No one listens to
Such a
Taya.
talented healer. I would surely have been inclined to agree. But thanks to her ministrations, I feel I may safely rejoin my attendant, who was to wait for me in Tabor if we became separated.
All right, we travel together.
Clive.
If he stays close to me, he'll be fine.
Thank you, brother.
Hmm.
I'll look after him.
I'm his shield. Hmm. Alright, to kind of get back into... Oh, the prelude kicking in there is great. Getting back to the chat really briefly. Yeah, I like this idea, Leon, of immortality, memory, legacy, enduring history. And there's... immortality is such an interesting word because it does have this connotation of constance, enduring sort of stuff, but also it has this, it kind of evokes, when you think of immortal, it's undying, it's transcendent of time. And I think that this immortality of the Phoenix is, it kind of does encapsulate a lot of what we've been talking about. That, let me zoom in here. It does encapsulate what we've been talking about, this idea of the legacy that's of hope that's carried on from others, this belief in something that is undying, enduring, even in the midst of chaos, in the midst of primogenesis. They keep fighting. We see that resilience of the human spirit. So you see the spirit of the Phoenix, of immortal persistence, enduring on and on and on here. You see it in Martha's Rest, you see it in Northreach, and you see it in Dalamil. And so I mean I'm down with that. Now I do want to stop there because the end of it is the end of the game is going to talk about that a great deal. This scene reminds you of an idea that Clive, Ultima, and Joshua represent a holy trinity. Now, that's an interesting piece of Ultima as part of a holy trinity. That's an interesting take, but I kind of get that. Ultima is like, okay, all right, the Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. Joshua, okay, I'll buy that. The only thing that I might push against that would be kind of a anti-Trinitarian mindset is that the Son is actively working against the Father in this respect. And that completely counters what Jesus says, that I and the Father are one. I do the will of my Father in heaven. That sort of thing. But some dude, we could definitely talk more about that toward the end. No, I think I see what you're saying, but that's good. Love the prelude kicking in. Yeah, me too. Like how Sidolphus is gone. Yeah, Sid still lives. Yeah. The idea of legacy, immortality, and yeah, that good stuff. Guys, it's 9 o'clock. I think that I may call it a night for tonight. And let me say why. First of all, I am worked to the bone. But also, I am taking 30 some odd students on a retreat tomorrow through Sunday. So I should probably get to rest a little bit and maybe do some laundry and stuff before that. So you say that Racy, oh, you're gonna have to watch on YouTube. You're gonna have to watch on YouTube because we've been through some stuff. But I do want to close with this idea. Tonight's stream is about the human spirit, the resilience of the human spirit, and I think that one of the things that we talked about with Joshua tonight, all of us kind of circling around this idea of Joshua represents the symbol of hope. The phoenix represents the symbol of hope, and the phoenix is immortality. It's eternal, and because the phoenix continues to live, that God continues to live, that people can have hope. It reminds me of one of my favorite phrases. I say it all the time. It comes from Frederick Buechner, who's a theologian throughout the 1900s. Which is just last century, so like not too terribly long ago, but also 23 years ago. He wrote regarding Jesus, Joshua, who was characterized as the phoenix in the first few centuries after his death and resurrection. He said that in the resurrection, we remember that the worst thing is never the last thing, that there's always hope. That no matter what darkness befalls us, that there is always reason to hope. And that is also the story of Joshua in this game, the story of the phoenix in this game. So with that, I think that that's a great kind of thing that we see in all three of these pieces of Northreach, of Martha's Rest, and in Dalamil. In Dalamil, the desert town, you had factions that were fighting against one another. And it was a city that was facing chaos within itself and making it vulnerable to outside chaos, right? So this is a collateral of when everything falls apart. We see this in modern society as well. When things go wrong in the world, our carnality comes out and we fight against one another. In Northreach, we saw that there were threats from outside and you had survivors that had to be taken care of. So there's an idea of how do we build up walls around us and build and fortify the walls. And then in Martha's Rest, you're creating a place for protection and again fortifying the walls, but it's a slightly different focus than in Northreach, but kind of the same end. How are we securing a path to the future and creating a place where people can rehabilitate and build a new society when things are kind of falling apart? So you get these three unique instances of threat against the human spirit, and I think that's a pretty rad thing. When everything falls apart, what happens? Communities band together and they choose to hope. They orient themselves toward hope and what needs to be done. There's an author, a Christian author named Mark Batterson. He wrote several books. One was called The Circle Maker. It's one that I remember that he wrote. And in the book, one of the first things that he says was, we pray like it depends on God and we work like it depends on us. And I think that those two things go hand in hand, and we're going to talk more about that in coming streams. But I think that we see that full well here. People that believe that like it depends on the power of the divine, but they're going to do what they can to work to ensure that it happens. I'm reminded of some words in the New Testament in all of this. The Apostle Paul says that we still have hope. Though we are pressed, we are not crushed. Though we're persecuted, we're not left, forsaken, or abandoned. We are pressed, but we are not destroyed. And because of that, we do have hope, and we will continue to have hope, is what he continues to say. Leon, you say, Logos, the word, the Bible has endured for many centuries and will continue to do so. Now, that's interesting. We'll talk more about Logos in a couple of weeks. We'll talk a lot about what Logos and Mythos really mean, and how the Gospel of John kind of co-opts that phrase in a lot of interesting ways. So, something to look forward to. We're almost there. We're almost there. That's the moment where I was like, I can do some lectures on this thing. When we get to where they start talking about logos. That's some good stuff. And with that, my logos tonight is we got to go pack. That's the practicality of this stream for me tonight. So everybody, I hope that you have a great night. It's been fun being with you. As always, you're a highlight of my week. You guys make my week a little bit brighter. So thank you. Logos, mutos, phytos, lusak, wikos, phenosek. Yeah, that's good. No, nothing like ending with a Final Fantasy VIII callback, right? If you haven't heard the song Liberi Fatali, go and listen to it. It's a great one. All right, everybody, you have a fantastic weekend, and I hope that you have just the best stinking weekend. If you're in a warm climate, stay cool. If you're in a cool climate, stay warm. Be good. I know that we got people all over the world here, so be safe and walk tall, my friends. Y'all take care. Keep hope. Bye.